This here neighborhood is called St. John the Baptist, and today we're talking about $100 billion because that's about what U.S. intelligence spends every year. $100 billion. And in the context of the U.S. fucking with the world, $100 billion really doesn't seem like that much money, given that they spend about $800 billion a year on bombs for poor people. But it's a lot of fucking money. So how much money is $100 billion? Well, of the Five Eyes intelligence community, the one of which the US is the biggest part, it's the biggest expenditure. By how much? By about $100 billion. The closest that you get to that is the UK spending almost $5 billion. Then after that, you've got Australia spending about $1.5 billion, Canada spending around $650 million, and then New Zealand spending around $100 million. So the US outspends its intelligence partners 1,000 times over. But how much does $100 billion really get you? Well, let's take CNN, one of the biggest news networks around. What's their operating budget? It's around $350 million a year, meaning that US intelligence could operate 300 CNNs. But let's just throw CNN in there. They could run CNN. Okay, that's a similar operating budget to Fox, so throw Fox in there. Similar operating budget to MSNBC. Throw MSNBC in there. So if they're running all three of those, what's left? About $99 billion. Okay, well, what else costs money that is media? Buying Fox, which is a thing that Disney did, one of the biggest media conglomerates on earth, cost them around $71 billion. So let's just throw that in there. Say that they could buy one of the world's largest media conglomerates every single year, $71 billion. It's actually the biggest amount ever paid for such a purchase. But yeah, sure, they could do that literally every year. And then what are they left with? Well, for doing the math, that leaves them with approximately $27 billion left. Okay, what does $27 billion get you? The entire Canadian military for about 23. And yeah, the CIA has a military program, right? They've got drones and shit to bomb poor people. So once you've purchased one of the world's largest media conglomerates and you're operating the three largest news networks in North America and you're running the entire Canadian military, what's left? Around $5 billion. Or approximately enough to still run the entirety of UK intelligence as well. And that's every single year. That's just a thing that they can do. So, $100 billion is a whole fucking lot of money. And people act like, oh, anytime that you say that something might have been a CIA plot, well then, you're just being fucking crazy. Because how big can the CIA really be? Well, it can be about a quarter of the size of the Canadian government. If the CIA's budget was treated as a military budget, it would be the third highest in the world. The US military budget, followed by the Chinese military budget at about a third of the amount, followed by the CIA's budget at around $100 billion, then India at like 86, then Russia at like 84. Then I think it's the UK, France, Saudi Arabia right after that. That's how much money that is. But, I mean, does spending more money than all but two of the world's militaries enough to buy out the largest media conglomerates in the world every year over and over and run entire militaries and run all the media companies and outspend Hollywood's entire history every single year just mean that you can, what, make shit up and distribute information? Yeah, that's what the fuck that means. And they have drones. And legally, you're not allowed to know what the fuck they do. So, it's definitely more reasonable to assume that an American enemy magically becoming destabilized is a CIA plot than to say that it's impossible that it would be. That's what's actually fucking crazy.